In this video, I'm going to show you how to send 1,000 personalized emails a day using AI on autopilot. I'm going to show you how you can do this without having to do any manual work. I'm going to show you how you can do this without having to spend tons on a million different tools, without having to hire VAs to manually pull all the data, and without AI looking robotic and sounding bad. So why am I qualified to talk about this? Well, we at Leadify have sent and generated over 4,000 leads for our clients over the past year. We've sent over 1 million emails in the past year as well, and we're also certified Clay experts. And in this video, this is what you're going to learn. So how we import a lead list into Clay from Apollo, how we find and verify email addresses using waterfalls, how we format company names to use as a variable in your outreach using AI, and then also how we're going to find the company's Glassdoor/Indeed reviews, scrape the reviews as well, and then how we're going to use AI to analyze the Glassdoor reviews and output a personalized relevant line that then you can push into your sending tool to use in your outreach. So let's jump straight into it. So here is our initial table, right? And in terms of importing from Apollo, it's very, very simple. We do it in two different ways. So if you come over to Apollo, and the great thing about this, you actually don't need Apollo paid subscription to be able to do any of this, right? So there's two ways. Number one is, let's just say you've built your lead list, and I'm not going to go through how to build a lead list on Apollo. I've got a separate video on that. Let's say you've built your lead list and you want to export this, right? There's two ways that you can do it. Number one is by selecting all the contacts, and then you can come up to here, and this is called Instant Data Scraper. This little Pokeball here, it's a Chrome extension. It's completely for free. You can click this, and then it will just basically export page by page by page. Now, the only thing about this is there is a limit of how many you can export, which is 2,500, 25 results per page, and then 100 pages. That is the limit. And sometimes it's a bit buggy and can crash, but it's a completely free way of scraping data from Apollo. Once you've got that data, you've got it as a CSV. You would then just create sections. You'd come up into here, import, and then you'd import into table. That's one way of doing it. The second way of doing it is by using a tool called exportapollo.com. We use this quite a bit, and you just create an account, and it's very simple. Once you are logged in, you quite literally take the URL of your search, you just copy paste it, and then it will give you the URL in here. You just paste it into here, and then it will give you a price on how many contacts you want to scrape. Maybe that's 10,000, that's 15,000, 20,000, etc. And then it also gives you the option if you want to verify the leads and so on and so forth. We usually don't, because we do all our verification within Clay, our workflow, but we do also have the option there. And it usually takes about 1 to 2 hours to get the list back. So just as an FYI, sometimes it can be shorter, but usually about 1 to 2 hours. Once you've got that, like I said, you just import the list into Clay. And then once you've got the list here, you are going to see, obviously, the company name, the first name, last name of all the people, the job titles, the locations, the company domain, all this kind of stuff, right? So we're going to have a list of emails from Apollo. Now, the first thing that we want to do is we want to make sure that the emails are verified, right? So we use a tool called Lead Magic, which again, isn't super expensive at all. And we really, really highly recommend it for verifying the email addresses. We found that it's been the most accurate that we've used so far. It's got usually a lower than 2% bounce rate. 1 to 2% is what we're seeing normally. So we'll first verify the Apollo emails. Now, what happens, obviously, if an email is invalid from Apollo, right? So this email here, for example, is invalid. It will then go into what's called a waterfall, which I've talked about in several other videos, but it's very simple. It'll try one data provider, which again, we're using Lead Magic to now find the email because it has multiple functionality. Find the email address, and you can see here, it's found the email, and then it goes through another verification step. Now, what happens if Lead Magic doesn't find the email? Then it tries the next step here. So it says no email found, and it tries the next step. And we then try Prospio, which is another data tool, right? So all we're using is 2 different data tools plus Clay to be able to do all of this stuff. And again, with Apollo, you don't need to pay for Apollo. So it's much more centralized than having to import, export, and do all of this in different places. And it's relatively cheap. And the ROI is definitely there if you're creating really relevant campaigns and sending these out to your prospects. So we've got the final email column. Now what we're doing here is we are formatting the company name. So here is where we use AI to do so. So again, I've talked about this in very recent videos on how to do this, but it's essentially normalize the company name. Here is the prompt. And we just kind of give it like a brief sentence to basically make sure that it knows or has a prefix of what it's trying to create, so that it has like structure. and then what not to do, and so on and so forth, right? So this is the whole prompt. If you want to pause and look at the prompt, feel free to do so. And then for all of this stuff, we use GPT-4o Mini because it's incredibly cheap. I mean, like really, really cheap. A run, I think, if you click in here, total cost to AI provider is, yeah, so literally hardly anything, like absolute pennies on pennies on pennies to run this. So now that we've got the tidied list with valid emails and we've got the company name that's formatted, because in the copy that we're going to be using, we are going to be using the company name, and we don't want to reach out with, you know, like stream ledge limited, right? It just looks weird. So the next step here, and this is where it maybe gets a little bit more complicated. However, it is so pretty doable. You can apply this logic to other situations that you might be in. This is just using Glassdoor as an example, but you could apply this logic to something else. So with Clay's functionality, you can do or generate formulas, right? Now, if we were searching for a company and we wanted to find the company's Glassdoor, the way that we would do that is we would go on Google and we would type in the company name plus Glassdoor, right? So you might try and type in railway electrical services and then Glassdoor, right? So, and then you've got their Glassdoor profile. However, in order to make this a little bit more accurate, one of the things that you can actually do is you can essentially, because what we're trying to pull the overview page. We want to make sure that we've got the actual company's Glassdoor. So the way that we'll do this is we'll create a query here, which is very simple. Like, it's not actually that complicated, where we literally just type in site and then semicolon glassdoor.com/overview, and then there's a space in here and then the company name. So what this is now doing is basically using this URL or this search term, running it on Google and trying to find the Glassdoor, so basically the company name on this Glassdoor site. So it's only going to pull results that are actually on Glassdoor from that company. So it means that our result is a lot more accurate. Now you could do this, for example, if you wanted to find a company's LinkedIn, you could change site and to linkedin.com, and then you could put, and then the company name afterwards. So then it's only going to find the company if it shows up on linkedin.com as the site, right? And this is the query, which we're then feeding in. One thing actually, just to note, this is obviously dynamic, so the name of the company is changing every single time. And we're feeding this into a Google search. So we have to build the query first, then we're feeding this into a Google search, right? So the Google search is here, right? And this is very simple to do. Like, you quite literally can just copy paste this, pause it, copy paste this. It's very simple. You just put post, endpoint is here. You can use I talked about it in several other videos, but server.dev. It's maybe a little bit more advanced, but once you get the hang of it, it's honestly very easy, and you can just save it as a template so you don't have to redo it, and then you just pop in your API key underneath, which I won't show. Now, this is basically taking this column, and it is running a search on Google for site, Glassdoor.com overview, and then for the company name, right? So it's only going to find that company listed on Glassdoor. Then what we do is we pull the URL company, right? Which you can see here, right? Now, one thing that's very interesting is some of the results were incorrect. For whatever reason, it would pull up the wrong thing. So you can see railway electrical services, and this is incorrect. So what we did as a very good fail-safe is we essentially said to AI, extract the URL. So now that we've got the Glassdoor URL here, right? Now that we've got we've got this Glassdoor URL, pretty much all companies will have their website listed on the Glassdoor URL in the overview section. So we said, now extract the website URL that's listed on the Glassdoor overview section. Then what we did is we cross-referenced. So you see Glassdoor domain, you see there's check and no check. What we did then is cross-referenced this domain that is pulled from Glassdoor against the website that we have, right? Company domain. And if they were the same, then we checked it and it was okay. If they weren't the same, then we crossed it, and that would basically remove them from the rest of the workflow. So that's a fail-safe to be able to reach out to the right company, because sometimes with these things, there's little errors. But you can see that we ran this for 5,000 companies. So if we were to do this manually, it would be incredibly time-consuming. This is all, you build it once, might take maybe half an hour to build it. Once you built it out, then you can run it for the whole thing, and it works really, really well. It says negative here, actually, but it should be positive. The next thing that we did is, now that you can see here that it says run condition not met, because it was basically incorrect. If it is correct, then it would run. And that is, again, like I said, our failsafe. So the next thing that we did is we basically told it to go to the Glassdoor URL we have for it, and like the actual the page on Glassdoor, and to find the reviews. This should be positive, by the way, but it says negative for some reason. We told it to visit the URL and then to output 1 to 3 positive sentiments, short summary, right? And don't output X, Y, Z, and then just make sure that it's like really short. So then it would output an overview of some of the reviews that were on Glassdoor, positive, right? And you could do this in any other way. You could use this for scraping G2 and then, telling it, hey, pull together all of the reviews that you're finding from this company on G2, right? And as long as you've got the G2 URL, it could then do that. So you can use this in so many different ways, and it's relatively simple to put together. The next thing we would do to then put it into a personalized line is, because obviously let me show you the output. So response, good atmosphere to work in, positive interview experience, forward-thinking management team, and environmentally conscious, right? These were some of the reviews they pulled in, right? Here, maybe we have 74% of employees recommended working at Inventor. Employees rated 3.5 star. Yeah, great culture. Yeah, great culture that fosters employee engagement, excellent work-life balance, etc., etc. Right. So all of that stuff is too much to put into an email, so we need to condense it down. So then we created another prompt that would then analyze that AI. And this time we're using Claude 3.5 Haiku because it's slightly better for copy. The rest of the stuff is done with GPT-4o Mini. And it says here, write a short sentence in the following format using the, should actually be positive. This should be positive. The review summary here, spot a few Glassdoors that mention, and then positive points. And then I like you to use this prefix, which is basically saying, take this output and put it in this sentence, essentially. And then, yeah, we're just writing the rest of the prompt again. If you want to pause it, feel free to do so and read it. So then we can see here, it might say, spotted a few Glassdoor reviews that mentioned great culture and work-life balance. And now we've got a really personalized, relevant email because the rest of the email is going to tie back into what they're saying or what the employees are saying, because we're offering something in this particular campaign. We're offering something around how we could help them improve their employee wellness programs and so on and so forth. So it ties in and it looks like you've done your research. Now, one more quick step that I'll go through. So again, this is what the output looks like. And the output here in this case, this is all written by us, except for this supportive team environment and strong HR support, right? As an example. So that would be the output that you're getting. We did another step actually here, which is to find the Indeed reviews, doing exactly the same thing. So there's basically a fallback. If we couldn't find anything on Glassdoor, then we tried Indeed. And if we couldn't find anything on Indeed, we had a fallback sentence. But basically 80-90% had, 70% probably had Glassdoor, 10-20% had Indeed, and then the last little bit where we had the fallback sentence. So that's pretty much it. And then we put and merge all of the sentences into one final column, and then we would map that to instantly here, where we're basically telling it, hey, put this into the campaign, and then just mapping the variables. So reviews line, this is where we would have the reviews line for the first thing, and so on. So that's kind of how we did the whole thing. I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you're interested in us doing this for you and building out these automated systems and installing them in your business so you can own them and you can generate ROI and generate pipeline and so on, without having to do all of this manually, feel free to book in a call below. But yes, it's just one example of many, and feel free to use this, feel free to copy it. It's totally fine. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye.